seeing a graphic. It looks like a colossal titan attacking a wall with a young Aaron Yeager looking above. Well, that is how you might feel when you are taking your CISA Plus exam, but fear no more. As I get some music prepared, if you've been here before, welcome to the party, pal. Might take a second to get things up and running. There you go. All right. Welcome to the party, everybody. I am joined here with Tech Ricky. Tech Ricky, what's going on, buddy?
What's going on, guys? Happy
everybody's-
Friday.
Happy Friday, man. TGIF. Hope everybody's doing well. Ricky, what's new in your world?
Not a whole lot. Not too much. Same old, same old.
Are we going to see a Wild West Hacking Fest in Deadwood?
I will be in Deadwood this year.
Yes.
Again, I'm excited about it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm going to be there as well. So, breaking the stream back in. Well, that's not what we're looking for. Something more like Restream inputs are reacting very slowly today. Blame the computer, blame technology. Well, welcome to the stream. My name is Jesse J, aka the Cosmic Cowboy, and here over the next hour and for this next stretch of time, you're going to join myself and Tech Ricky while we bring you along on our cert prep as we prepare for the CISA Plus certification. About a year ago, I did something called Slay Security Plus, which you kind of see some of the advertising and branding there remaining, where we walked hand in hand with groups of cybersecurity students as they prepared to make their way into the industry and get their Security Plus. I since then have had my Security Plus. Well, it's time to level up. I think the CISA Plus is the next logical step in the CompTIA stack. And then after that, I'll be back to hands on the keyboard and look at other industry-specific certifications that I might be interested in. Hey, Zara, good to see you. Hello, everyone. Happy to be here, and thank you for doing this. Yeah, so this is kind of a cold launch. We'll be doing this every single Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is where I live. And so the flow of it is going to be like this. We're going to start off with some jaw jacking. Ricky and I will catch up. Maybe we'll play some hardcore emo music. Maybe we'll bang our heads for a minute because we're headbangers. And then after that, we're going to jump right into some practice questions. Those practice questions are going to consist of both PBQs, which are the performance-based questions, and they're also going to consist of CompTIA's practice questions, and then we're also going to use Pocket Prep, which we'll get into today. Let me think. Before I get started, let's see. Let's go ahead and get our question of the day going. And this question of the day comes to us from Pocket Prep. All right, now here's one of the things that as we get started with today's stream and we get started with studying, you need to invest in yourself. And to pass these certifications, and we'll go through this again when we do a full launch next week, but something to consider is you want to use multiple study resources as you prepare yourself. You want to have a way to test yourself periodically throughout the study process so that you have a baseline and where you need to be to pass the exam, right? So it's really crucial. One thing that's recommended in the industry is starting with a practice exam, a full-blown practice exam. And in that practice exam, you can see where you're at, right? You get done with the practice exam and it's going to highlight your strengths and your weaknesses. By now, if you're taking the CISA Plus, you probably had some time in the driver's seat when it comes to security operations in subcapacity. You are at least familiar with it, even if it's at a textbook level. And so you're going to have some strengths, but you're human, right? You don't know everything. Nobody does. So you're also going to have a few weaknesses when it comes to the CISA Plus, right? That's just how it goes. And so taking the practice test ahead of time will tell you where your strengths and your weaknesses are. Once you have your strengths and your weaknesses identified, it's incredibly important that you targeted attack, tighten, study those weak resources, right? We already know we know the strong areas don't need as much work right now. So let's train up those weak areas. Just like if you were a bodybuilder and you were competing, you would want everything to be symmetrical, right? And so doing the practice test ahead of time, you get those results, then you do targeted study through a method of things. I like pocket prep and whatever works, right? Whatever you decide. Pocket prep for the deluxe premium version is, I think, is $20 a month. I just paid for $50. I got myself 3 months worth of pocket prep. I know that sounds expensive, but I promise you, invest in yourself on these certification journeys. And if you can't invest in yourself, you will find people that want to invest with you and for you. But invest in yourself. So whether that's buying the resources. And then as we move forward, I did purchase the CompTIA branded Cert Master Learn. So we will be able to go through actual performance-based questions, PBQs. We will be able to go through the real deal CompTIA practice exam through our journey. And then the goal is that Tech Ricky and I would pass. And then for, I don't know what the amount of time is. After that, we'll continue to lead study sessions and help other people pass their CISA Plus exam. Tech Ricky, does that sound kosher? Does that sound a little bit like what we talked about?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you covered it.
Along the way, we're gonna have special guests like Dr. Jerry Ozier, Casually Joseph, Justin Gold, Zach Hill, and many others. And I would also like to do a segment where we have interviews from the field, where people that are actually working can maybe call in without disclosing too much information. Calls from the field. What's it like today? What kind of alerts are we seeing? What is triage looking like in 2026? I'd like to remind everybody that the CISA Plus 003 does sunset in June. For at least the time being, we are doing the 003 that is sunsetting in June, mainly because I don't want to wait till June to buy the 004 study materials, so might as well just take it now. It doesn't matter when it comes to the hiring component. Okay, touch base on how to study. Remember, targeted study, learn, quiz, review, practice test, targeted study, repeat. Once you get about 90% of those practice tests, you're ready to go. Turning our attention to chat, Code Brew Cyber, what is up, my man? Good to see you. Brenda Snack Panic in chat. I see some folks from our Slay Security Plus live stream, which is epic. IPv7 Tech Pro, also glad to have you here. It's been a minute. This app helped me pass my Sec Plus and CC by SC2. Excellent. Yeah, after Tech Ricky and I, quote unquote, slay our CISA Plus, the CISSP is probably the next big cert in a year or so, maybe on my list. I don't know about you, Tech Ricky. I might get some Microsoft ones for my employer, but as far as big certs after CISA Plus, I can't think of anything else really.
Yeah, I was thinking of going for some Microsoft certs myself.
Right, actually. Just to kind of stay sharp. I had toyed because I do enjoy red teaming operations, pen testing, and whatnot. Before I had gotten this role, I was entertaining some contracting work doing pen testing, and so the OSCP was on my plate. But right now, the career trajectory is security operations, vulnerability management, and things of that nature. So, all right, folks. Today we're going to be using the Pocket Prep. We're using the Pocket Prep, and it's awesome. So what is the question of the day? Acme Incorporated is using the AAA framework as part of a new network design. Lucian, a network architect at Acme Incorporated, is tasked with designing all of the components related to accounting. Which of the following is most likely to be part of Lucian's task? A, choosing an identity provider. B, configuring OAuth. C, defending default log levels. Or D, financial reporting. Remember, whenever you do these multiple choice exams, Ricky knows this, I know this, you know this as well, we've done this before. There's a couple are going to stand out as not being the right ones. At least on your phone, you can strike those as not options. What do we think, team? Acme is using the AAA framework as part of a new network design. Lucian, a network architect at Acme, is tasked with designing all components related to the accounting. Choosing identity. So what is his job probably going to be? Choosing identity provider.
Also, for questions like this, so for answers, I look at one of the tricks that I try to do is look at answers that seemingly are integrated or play off of each other. So when you're choosing an identity provider, you would also ideally probably be configuring OAuth or be doing something with that. So I would think that if you pick one of those, because they're so close together, I wouldn't lean to either of those.
Yeah, and like when you're studying for the CISSP, one of the things they say is if you have an answer that kills multiple, like you just said, multiple birds with a single stone, then that's probably going to be it. Financial reporting has nothing to do with when I think of related to the accounting, I'm not thinking of the financial accounting part. I'm thinking of the accounting as in identity and access management, building accounts. Do you think that's fair?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say so.
Oh, yes. And I forgot to say, Zara, thank you so much. If this is your first time joining us, and for some of you, it's not going to be, for some of you, it is, just drop your best answer in chat. Process through it, find a couple answers, and then we'll refine this live stream and the answering process. But for now, just drop your answer in chat.
Yeah. We can make it easy. So if we start at the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 at the bottom, 1 at the top. If you want to just drop a number in there, we can do that.
Oh, I had read off A, B, C, and D, but we can do that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine
so
too.
yeah. A, choosing an identity provider. B, configuring OAuth. C, defining default log levels. And then D, financial reporting. Hey, Coding Crypto Fitness 738. It's been a minute. Good to see you. Hello, Jesse. How long have you been back? Today is our first time back since the last LaySec Plus stream. I can't even remember. Honestly, it's been months and months. But this is our first stream back. So we're doing Siza Plus now. I got to change the branding, which I will do. But these are actually Siza Plus questions. A seems to me, Ricky, would you agree? Choosing an identity provider would probably be, or do you think it's configured? I think it's A or B. Would you agree? What do you think? Based on what we have.
I think it's C, and the reason I think that is because A and B are related. So I think if we pick one, we would assume.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and then if it's not financial reporting, because this accounting isn't numbers and money and stuff. This is a different kind of accounting.
Right. Well, right. So you think defining default log levels would be our.
C.
All right, we're gonna go with C. Final answer. Let's send it. Submit. Boom. Yes.
It's always good to get the first one right.
Yeah, it is. All right, and so with the Pocket Prep, one of the things you can do is you can do a mock exam. And so it's 2 hours, 85 questions. You have 2 hours and 45 minutes. Man, this is gonna annoy me something fierce.
Lock it.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, and it shouldn't. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so we will do for today, let's do a quick 10. A little tip here that they're giving us: after answering, look for highlighted keywords to view definitions. So that's something helpful that Pocket Prep does. Zara asks, before we move forward, if we started today, when will we be ready for the test? Honestly, that's up to you. I would like to take it by June. It depends on how much experience you have. I think that you could competently study for this test and be ready anytime between 1 month and 3 months, depending on how you study. It could take up to 6 months, right? But I feel like 3 months, 2 to 3 months is a reasonable expectation of passing this exam. Yes, coding, crypto, fitness, the CISA Plus is the next level beyond Security Plus.
Oh, and also for the Pocket Prep, it keeps track of how well you're doing across all the domains of the exam. So if you're doing very poorly in a specific domain, you can actually just focus on that domain instead of wasting your time on one that you're at 90% correct or 95% or so on.
My man, yeah, that's super smart. Yeah, it's really helpful doing that, going back to that targeted study aspect. All right, which of the following is not a typical reason phone backups are useful for mobile device forensics? Again, which of the following is not a typical reason phone backups are useful for mobile device forensics? A, backups provide a point-in-time snapshot of a device. B, backups have the most recent data available. C, backups typically don't have the same level of security as the device. Or D, backups may contain deleted data. Which of the following is not a typical reason phone backups are useful for mobile device forensics? No worries, Zara. I have another question. No worries at all. I have my Security Plus, but it expired March 10th. If I take my CISA Plus, does it renew my Sec Plus too? No. If your Security Plus has fully expired, then unfortunately you get the CISA Plus, but it does not renew your Sec Plus. If you can take your CISA Plus while you still have your Sec Plus, it does renew it, but unfortunately, since March 10th has passed. Which is the reason? Ricky, what do you got when you analyze this question? What goes through your mind?
I read the question and skim the answers and see if the one is just logically doesn't make any sense. Like I try to look to see which questions, which answers I can just knock out first. Process of elimination. Then I have a 75% chance of getting it if I don't know it. If I have to guess, which I hope to not have to guess on the test, but for practice. Again, and I try to look for questions that seemingly are related, if possible. Sort of like the previous question. If two are related, then it shouldn't be either one of those in my mind, at least not for this exam. What about you?
Well, I'm trying to see it. What are there any answers that stand out to you? Zara's going with B. Backups have the most recent data available.
Yeah, that was my choice too.
That was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you want the most recent data available, you don't need a backup. It's just what's on the device.
We're gonna go with B. Boom. Correct, team. B.
Good job.
Correct answer. Backups have the most recent data available. A mobile device backup is a useful reference when conducting mobile device forensics because it provides a point-in-time snapshot of a device that may not have the same security controls as the actual device and may contain data the user has since deleted. However, the data in a backup does not typically contain up-to-date phone contents, given backups only occur periodically. And here's the other nice thing about Pocket Prep is it gives you the reference, which I think is so awesome. And you can click, I still have a question, go deeper or simplify. And then it shows you on the study guide, which highly recommend you pick up these study. These are the official study guides. I got my bundle for like $30. Got some practice exams. Again, multiple sources of study information, right? So usually during the targeted study, I'll use the textbook for some of the deeper dive nitty gritty when I really want to get down a little bit lower level into the stuff. All right, next question. Moving on. What are the 3 factors that determine the confidence level an organization has in threat intelligence? Complexity, confidentiality, and redundancy. B, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. C, complexity, accuracy, and availability. Or D, timeliness, relevance, and accuracy. This one, and something else to note about the CISA Plus or really any CompTIA exam is you're going to have they have questions that are easy, medium, and hard throughout the exam. Whereas an ISC2 exam, they'll progressively get harder or easier depending on how you answer. CompTIA just will randomly throw you an easy one, followed by maybe a hard one, followed by a medium one. This one screams pretty simple to me. One of the things that I look for is that answer that kind of says, no, this isn't it. So we're talking about threat intelligence. And I see confidentially the CIA triad. Well, that's the CIA triad, which is important to cybersecurity, but it is not the determining factor in the confidence level of threat intelligence within an organization. Complexity, confidentiality, and redundancy. So how complex it is, how much it's, how under wraps it is, how confidential it is, and then how redundant it is doesn't seem like something that helps me confirm trust, right? What if it's complex, confidential, and redundant, but it's the news I'm getting is from 3 weeks ago? Or if it's from a month ago? What if it's from a day ago, right? So it's really important that timeliness is part of that. Again, complexity, accuracy, and availability. Well, the accuracy and availability is important. I don't know about the complexity, but the accuracy and availability is important, not the complexity. And again, timeliness. We want our information timely. To me, the only possible answer screams out is D. Boom, team. Which of the following statements about waterfall software development technology is true? A, one step is completed before the next step begins. B, a primary focus is breaking work into small chunks and delivering working software frequently. C, there is no explicit planning phase and prototyping is used heavily. Or D, no distinct phases are used.
I always struggle with these, with the development questions.
Yeah, agile, waterfall. I was studying for the CISA Plus heavily, and then I quit. I got busy with life and work, and so some of this stuff I feel like I'm reading for the first time, even though I probably have answered this question. For me, I'm just like,
man, Code Brew just coming in quick with his answer.
And Code Brew's a smart cat.
Oh,
Code Brew, are we going to see you at DEF CON, Wild West Hacking Fest? Are we going to see you at Simply CyberCon? Where are we going to see you? I'll be at DEF CON, Wild West. I'll be at all 3. Laying really low at DEF CON.
I'll for sure be at Simply CyberCon and did one. I'm not sure about DEF CON yet.
Yeah, I'm for sure for those 2 as well. Well, Ricky, you and I are driving to Wild West Hacking Fest together.
Carpooling? Ooh.
Carpool, you better get your emo hair ready. You better get an emo wig. Get that comb over ready, bro. We're gonna be screaming the entire way. I got on a kick last night. I came home late after band practice, and I stayed up to like 3 a.m. listening to all of our favorite emo music.
Oh man,
Senses Fail, Taking Back Thursday,
We're so
Rise, all that, and getting the really heavy stuff too. It was fun.
Cool.
Code Brew.
Yep, Hot Wild West and SCCon. Looking forward to sharing a beer with you, my friend.
Let's go.
Those places.
Yeah, I got my Simply CyberCon little mug here, little muggy mug. Everybody in chat, everybody in class, I should say. So the class today is going with answer A. One step is completed before the next step begins, and that is correct.
Very good.
Kai, a network administrator at Acme Inc., wants to capture all the DNS traffic going from a Windows server to a local network. Kai has administrator access to the Windows server. What utility should Kai use to capture the DNS traffic? A, PS, B, strings, C, MD5 sum, or D, Wireshark? And remember, team class, as we're studying for CISA Plus, a lot of these terms, and this is not to disparage or talk down to anybody, myself or Tech Ricky included, but some of these terms we're going to go through, it should be expected that you just know them, right? You should just know what DNS is at this point in your career. You should have an idea of what some of these tools here that we're presented with. So if you have a question, please ask in chat. Please stop and ask. But unless there's a question, I'm going to assume that we're all on the same page. Well, with that knowledge, break down the tech. Ricky, talk to us a little bit about DNS.
It stands for the domain name system, Jesse J.
All right. What does it do?
It converts host names to IP addresses or IP addresses to host names, depending on what you want to do. And it is a crucial component in most Windows environments, especially if you're dealing with Active Directory. Excuse me.
Cool.
Do you
want to
go through the whole?
No, that's great. So then the reason I asked that is because there's a list of tools here. So if you're sitting here for the exam, you get this list of tools. Well, first of all, we're here. We see right out of the rip, we see DNS traffic. So immediately I know that this has something to do with information going over the wire, whether that's internally or to the public-facing internet, up to the cloud, up to space, up to heaven. I don't know. Wherever the traffic wants to go, it's going somewhere. Traffic is moving. So we finished the question. All right, he wants to capture all the DNS traffic. So that tells me immediately that we're trying to capture traffic on a network. Well, let's look at the tools that we're given. We have PS, which has to do with processes. Strings is a command that we can use to look for human readable strings amongst text, right? We could do that in forensic or in investigations when you're looking for malware, all kinds of different purposes to use strings. We use it all the time. We have MD5 sum. Well, we know that the MD5 sum, well, it has to do with hashing, right? That's that one-way trip of verifying the integrity of information. So we know it's not MD5 sum. Well, we know Wireshark from our days playing in the kiddie sandbox, sitting at the kids' table capturing traffic on Try Hack Me. We know that Wireshark is a packet capture tool, which that is the only one that would do what this question is asking. Let's send it. It's always DNS, dude. Cool. Next question. A server at Acme Healthcare Inc. displays patient data to unauthorized users when a software bug is triggered. This is an example of what category of software security issue? A, dereferencing, B, sensitive data exposure, C, insufficient logging and monitoring, or D, insecure object references. What do we think, team? When it comes to dereferencing, I need to polish up on software development.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I've heard that word before.
Well, we've even talked about it on stream. It's been a minute since I've been in that world. I think it has to do with dereferencing pointers, like in the stack where has to do with, I believe, where you're referencing where memory is being seen.
Yeah, I think so. That sounds right. Anyway.
Right. Well, let's look at the question. Let's be critical thinkers here. Displays patient data to unauthorized users when a software bug is triggered. That doesn't really have to do with dereferencing, but at least it doesn't stand out to us, so I'm going to cross that one out. Sensitive data exposure sounds like the one that is most correct to me. Insufficient logging and monitoring. Well, if we were trying to, let's say the Acme healthcare professional was trying to retrieve data to go back, right, and maybe do some forensic evidence or triage or something, and the data wasn't there, then we'd have insufficient logging and monitoring. And then we do not have insecure object references. Do not believe it's insufficient logging and monitoring. I believe the only answer here is B. Correct. Let's look at the explanation. Sensitive data exposure is a general category of software security flaws that occur when sensitive information is unprotected. A web server exposing internal files on the public internet is an example of sensitive data exposure. Insufficient logging and monitoring describes a scenario where systems lack the monitoring and logging required to detect and determine what happened when an incident occurs. Insecure object references happen when software exposes details about how internal objects are used and stored. Like improper error handling, insecure object references may reveal information a threat actor can use to help compromise a system. Insecure object references may also provide direct access to sensitive data or resources. And a dereferencing issue typically occurs when an unset value known as null value is used in contexts where a value is needed. Typically, this leads to a crash unless the error is properly handled by the application. So for me, I'm going to flag this question because it tells me, can I put notes? Okay, no. It tells me that I'm going to go back. I need to just reference dereferencing in some of these software terms. Oh, thanks, Cobrew. Docker is most commonly associated with which infrastructure concept? A, containerization, B, serverless, C, server virtualization, or D, FAAS, which is what as a service?
I don't know if I've ever heard of that.
Firewall as a service?
Maybe. I think this is another example of the ones that you should just know. Like it just expects you to know because there's no context clues or anything.
Yeah, I think so too. Like everybody in chat's pretty much nailing this one. Is there anybody named Justin in chat by any chance? I don't mean to call you out, but if there's somebody, I believe your name is Justin. It's either Jeff or Justin, and you were sent by Emma. If you were sent by Emma, just say what's up in chat. Or if you're watching this on Team Replay. Everybody in class going with containerization. A, correct. Excellent job, team. Next question. Which of the following is a typical use case for a CRL or a certificate revocation list? A, updating access control lists automatically. B, implementing SSO or single sign-on. C, mapping messages to Cisco log levels. Or D, revoking certificates before the expiration date. Code Bruce fast on the stick, going with D, revoking certificates before the expiration date. Yeah. You know, a certificate revocation list has nothing to do with implementing single sign-on, so we know that's not a possibility. Doesn't really have anything to do with or mapping messages to our Cisco log levels. Updating access control lists automatically. Again, not really the use case here for a certificate revocation list, which manages the website certificates. Exactly, class. We got it. We're looking at D, revoking certificates before their expiration date. Job, team. Moving on. What command line tool likely produced the output below? A. Nmap. B. DF. C. PS. Or D. NetStaff? Do you remember what DF is? Disk free. I looked it up. Disk free. Disk free.
Yeah, I like just like you. I was studying this pretty hard, and then sort of got away from it for a couple of months, and I feel like I've forgotten everything.
It's all right.
We will remember though.
Zara put in the answer C. I think this is a great opportunity for a quick teaching moment. So the command line tool likely produced the output from this. Well, we know that it's saying the host is up. It took about that much time for it to respond. Not shown are 997 closed ports. And if you've used this tool, this output should look very, very familiar to you, right? It has nothing to do with mounting disks or freeing disk space. So you know it's not DF, and it's not just a specific Linux command. PS or process status, I believe. I know it has to do with processes. Linux process status. Again, we're looking at network communications. Then we're leaves us with Nmap and netstat. The correct answer here is going to be Nmap A. And I know that just from experience. I just know that because I know that. And that tool of Nmap telling you which ports are open, latency, things of that nature, that's an Nmap output. Whereas netstat can tell you similar features. Correct. It is not PowerShell.
Yeah, Zara, that gets me too, because I'm so accustomed to typing in like enter PS session at my job. This I always have to remember that it's not PowerShell.
Right. And so and we know that netstat, like if you were to look at netstat and then filter for certain things, you could do a netstat and then find a string, or you could do a netstat and find a certain IP address. That's just a netstat really just lets you know. So it's network statistics. It's your network statistics. You're not scanning somebody. You're not using a port scanner to see the state of a different device or appliance. Netstat really is a command that you run when you want to see the status of what's going on in the network. This could be routing tables. This could be network connections, who you're talking to, things of that nature, which leaves us with the only possible answer, Nmap.
And I believe netstat is specific to like a local Windows machine, if I remember correctly. Like what the machine itself's doing.
Oh, okay, yeah, right. Not the network at large. Right. Yeah.
Right.
That's a great point. Detection of which of the following typically triggers an incident investigation. Okay, detection of which of the following, I guess, tools or solutions typically triggers an incident investigation. A, EDR. B, IOC or indicators of compromise. C, RCA. Or D, SLO. SLO being service level objective. Well, let's go through that process of elimination in our heads. IOC is an indicator of compromise, right? These are things that we look for when we're threat hunting. These could be IP addresses. These could be commands running on PowerShell. These could be scheduled tasks. These could be any indicators that your environment has been compromised. Well, that only solves that one component. We know a SLO is a service level objective, having more to do with the business and the operations side of things. I'm not sure on RSA, but I definitely know from my experience, right, team? We know that by working in security operations, if an EDR alert is triggered, we look, we investigate. That's a pretty straightforward, obvious answer. Do you think so, Rick?
I disagree.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think it is?
I think it's B, an indicator of compromise, because C's root cause analysis. So, like in my mind, I would use the EDR to find the IOC to get the RCA.
Good call. No, I read that, and in my head, which tool would go off? And so again, I just learned my own lesson of how important it is to like stop and fully read the dang question, the Goller in question. So B, yeah, detection of an indicator of compromise will trigger that. I do want to see the explanation. Root cause analysis. Yeah. So indicator of compromise triggers the EDR. We look at the root cause analysis, and then we measure whether that met the SLO or not.
Yeah. We're not talking about TVs.
Yeah. Feels good to dust the rust off, doesn't it, Ricky?
Yes, it does.
Woo!
Yes, yep.
I'm ready for Wild West Hack and Fast. Quinn, a security engineer at Acme Inc., suspects that a threat actor added a malicious scheduled task to a Linux computer. How can Quinn check the computer for unauthorized scheduled tasks? A, review Outlook calendar. B, run the command crontab tac I or L. Review the CRL or certificate revocation list, or run the task scheduler command. And I'll let everybody kind of chill on that. Oh, what's up? Jesus Christ, 3410. Good to see you. It's been a minute. It's been probably almost, 6 months or so since we've seen you. Good to see you.
Welcome in.
Give everybody a minute to answer this one in chat, and then we'll dissect it. Now, let's dissect this as if you were reading it. And right, so one of the things that we're going to expect is that we just have experience with the tools. That's something that separates CISA Plus from maybe Security Plus. Is CISA Plus does expect you to have used these tools, at least in a lab environment, right? And so you should know at this point that the Outlook calendar is not part of the Linux system, right? Outlook has to do with Microsoft. Could you get Outlook on your Linux box? Absolutely, but that's not what we're talking about. Review the CRL has nothing to do with malicious scheduled tasks. We're not running tasks using the task scheduler command. We're running cron tab. This will let us know of our tasks that are scheduled within a Linux environment. So good job, team. Everybody's smoking these questions, dude. Did we get 100%?
Oh, good job.
One new mock exam. Our team is constantly looking for ways to improve our test prep experience. We have added a mock exam to give you more CompTIA CISA test prep opportunities. Okay, cool.
Very good.
I am going to leave this up. Bear with me. I'm going to see if we've got access to our CompTIA stuff. Quickly, just bear with me, please. Pocket prep. Nope. CompTIA said, I thought it would be immediate, and I guess it's up to 6 hours before you can log in and get your stuff.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating. I want to study for test. All right, team, the floor is yours. Do we want to continue? We've got more questions. Usually I like to keep these streams to an hour and a half. There will be times as we do this, and Tech Ricky, you and I will discuss this, but I would like to sit down and do just a mock exam, but we're going to use a timer. And so we're not going to be able to sit on each question for like 2 minutes, right? We're going to do a full hour and a half mock exam, however long it takes, 2 hours, whatever they give you. I want to sit through at least once and do a full mock exam online. People can come and go as they want. I think that'd be a good opportunity to see where we're at. Level Up. What is Level Up? Level Up is a quiz-based game where your question bank is divided into... All right, let's do this. Let's go with level 1, security operations. So this is going to be a level up quiz. Let's rock through some of these questions, see how far we can get, and then we'll call it a day. Does that sound good to everyone? Good timed? No. Ariel accesses a secure data center by providing a fingerprint scan to a security system. Which authentication factors were involved in this process? A, knowledge and biometric. B, biometric. C, no authentication factors were involved. Or D, knowledge. They just knew. Well, everybody think. What are you going to go? Sorry, Rick. Nope, I was going to talk about nothing.
I'm going to go with B as in biometric.
Why?
That's my final answer, because it says it uses a fingerprint, which is not a digital. It's not something that you have. It's something that you are, because it's your fingerprint.
Yep.
They may not be entirely the right way of putting it.
No, that sounds great.
You know.
Boom. All right, next question. A threat actor creates a URL that appears to be legitimate anchor text, but actually redirects to a malicious website. What type of malicious technique is this an example of? A, SCOM. B, obfuscated link. C, data exfiltration. Or D, SASE. However people want to say it.
What do you think?
B, obfuscated link. What do you think?
Yep. Same.
Okay, next question. All right, hashers. Which of the following is a hashing algorithm? SHA-256, B, SPF, C, VDI-512, or D, DKIM? This one should scream at. In fact, the answer is literally in the answer. Give everybody a second to answer it. Which of the following is a hashing algorithm? SHA-256, B, SPF for sun protection, C, VDI-512, or D, DKIM? I'm going to start by taking off DKIM because we know that has to do with email signing.
What does it stand for?
Domain keys. Is it domain keys identified mail?
Ding ding.
Is that it?
That's
Am
it.
I close? Okay.
No, you got it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it's related to email, and SPF is related to email security as well.
In this context, it is. Yeah, it's sender preferred framework.
Sender policy framework.
Sender policy framework. So SPF, DKIM, and then DMARC. Remember what DMARC stands for?
Not off the top of my head, unfortunately.
All right, let's look at these answers. We know it's not VDI. At least I don't believe it is. We know it's not SPF because these are relating to email security, not hashing. And in fact, as we look, A, SHA-256, the SHA part, the S is secure, the H is hashing, and the A is algorithm. If there's only one possible answer, it's going to be this one. Moving on.
Boom.
What umbrella term what overarching term refers to unauthorized removal or export of data? A, race condition, B, degaussing, C, data exfiltration, or D, file carving?
Yep, that's right, Zara, about DMARC. Or is it, I don't know if I'm saying your name right or not. Apologies if I am, if I'm saying it incorrectly. Did it say this gets progressively more difficult, or is this just level one?
Yeah, we're gonna have levels. It'll be different levels. So we'll just keep going until, man, I'm here chilling until there's 0 people watching. And then we'll do, yeah, everybody's, I think, kind of getting there. Race condition, that's when 2 things process-wise happen at the same time, which can cause a computer to crash. That has nothing to do with removing or taking data out of export to move out, right? The word export literally means taking from one place, moving to another. Degaussing has to do with the process, remember, of destroying data using a magnetic tool to destroy the data magnetically. Has nothing to do with the export of data. I guess you're exporting that data to nowhere. File carving is the forensics process of doing just that, carving a file, looking for specific pieces of information. Class, you guys nailed it. C, data exfiltration. Boom. When would a security professional be most likely to use a cuckoo sandbox? A, to analyze malware in a secure environment. B, to encrypt a database. C, to degauss a drive. Or D, to decrypt a database. I'm going to flag that and let them know that they have this. Oh, to encrypt and decrypt. Okay. To analyze malware in a secure environment. B, to encrypt a database. C, to degauss a drive, or D, to decrypt a database. And something to consider with the CompTIA tests is you're going to see questions with most likely. If you get a question that says what is the most likely, or what is the that could be a question you get partial credit for. Most tells me that there's an okay answer and an even better answer. So something to understand about CompTIA is you do get partial credit on some of their questions. So it's super important you answer every question you can. Kind of, yeah, exactly, Zara. You said it. Sandbox equals to analyze. Like, we want to look at that malware in a secure environment, and that's why I would use it. Tend to agree.
Yep.
Which of the following typical use case for a SIM or SIEM? A, log aggregation and analysis. B, SSL inspection or secure sockets layer inspection. C, blocking malicious outbound network traffic. Or D, blocking malicious inbound network traffic. Well, we've been in the business long enough, team. We know what a SIM does. Let's just move through this question. It has nothing to do with traffic or being on the edge or on the network. So it's not a network traffic device. And it's, again, not inspecting any devices. We know a SIM collects all of our logs and helps us when we want to analyze those in a central location. Yeah, Zara. So on this one, the use case for a SIM, remember what it stands for? And that will be, that'll kind of send you to the promised land. A security information and event management tools ingest and aggregate logs and other security data from systems across the network and enable analysis and centralization that can help security teams detect and diagnose security-related issues. Remember, a SIM does not typically block network traffic or provide SSL capabilities. moving on. New Org LLC is a newly formed business. Charlie, the CISO, is responsible for chartering New Org LLC's cybersecurity program. Which of the following is not one of the 3 key objectives of a cybersecurity program? Confidentiality, B, encryption, C, integrity, or D, availability. And if you miss this one, we're in trouble.
I'm going to go with encryption for my final answer.
Well, team, come on. Cybersecurity 101. What is the first thing we learned on day 1? Is the CIA triad. And so we can immediately take those off, leaving us with encryption. Raha, a security architect at Acme Inc., is tasked with finding a solution for securing log centralization and analysis that supports security tools across the Acme Inc. network. What category of tools is most likely to meet the requirement? A, a SIEM, B, a WAF or web application firewall, C, an EDR or endpoint detection and response, or D, SPF. What do they want? What's the goal? A security architect is tasked with finding a solution for security log centralization and analysis. So we want all of our across our network, we need a tool that can take all of our logs and put them into one place, into one central location. Of these tools, which one does that?
I'm kind of speed past this one too, because this is almost like a rehash of the one we just had.
I mean, it's like the opposite, right? We know the SPF has to do with traffic or email traffic. EDRs are endpoint detection response on the endpoint. A web application firewall nothing to do with log centralization, leaving us with the only possible answer of a SIM solution. All right. Moving on. 8 in a row. Continue. Nice. We're going to get harder. These are going to get progressively harder, apparently. Which of the following is an example of a biometric factor in authentication? A, authenticator application, B, a password, C, a smart card, or D, a fingerprint. And honestly, I'm not even going to take my time with this one. Biometric, right? Bio, living, it has something to do with human, living, right? Organism, biology. Metric, to measure. So to measure, something has to do with you. Well, authenticator application is on our device, has nothing to do with us. Password is something we know. A smart card is something that we have. A fingerprint, right? That is something we are. That's a biometric reading of some kind.
Hey, Chuck, welcome in.
Hey, Chuck in cyberspace. What's up, dude? Welcome to the party, pal. Correct, Zara. Fingerprint would be our biometric factor of authentication. All right, moving on. What type of threat actor is likely to have access to internal resources before they perform any malicious actions? A, a script kiddie, B, organized crime, C, a nation state, or D, an insider threat? Pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keyword internal.
Internal, yeah.
Yep.
A script kiddie, we always think of those as, I don't think it's age related. I think it's just a competency thing, right? You basically get automated scripts, maybe to somebody else. There's no real thought process. You're not developing your own exploits. You're just jumping on a box, running a script. That's really all you got. Organized crime, typically they're after money. Nation state threat actors could be internal threats or insider threats, right? Maybe it's a North Korean IT worker. But we know that if somebody works at a place, they're going to be that insider threat. So
I'm curious how, if script kiddies are more of a threat now than they used to be just because of AI. If they can,
yeah, we're seeing a resurgence on the Daily Cyber Threat Brief. We're seeing a resurgence of old school, hacks and techniques and just running scripts, and a lot of this stuff is coming around full circle. It's crazy. Cool. What's it going to tell us? Continue. Nicely done. Level 1 is coming along nicely. Our little guy's going in the air.
Level 1 complete.
Right. Keep studying. Just keep going, team.
Do you have a hard cutoff time or anything? Or are you good?
Today I don't. For future
Okay.
Fridays, give or take, I will, depending. Like I said, I'd like to give about an hour to an hour and a half. We have 11 people on stream, which tells me that maybe starting closer to 3:30 or 4 might be better. So nothing's set in stone yet. So we'll have conversation around that. Hey guys, need to study and pass this so I can be a more effective cloud security engineer. This will probably help. There's some concepts in this Slim Daddy 9. Slim Daddy 9, this really has more to do with being a security operations analyst or a SOC analyst. Not that there aren't some things that pertain to the cloud in this, but welcome to the party. I know there's some other resources we'd be happy to point to when it comes to cloud security engineering.
Yep.
All right, rock and roll. Amal is a security engineer at Acme Inc. Amal is helping the IT team develop a logging strategy for new network. Which of the following should Amal recommend be incorporated into the logging strategy? It's a thick question. A, avoid using NTP for time synchronization and use RTC instead. B, send logs to central location for storage, analysis, and reporting. C, set all log levels to emergencies. And D, set all log levels to critical. Tech Ricky, do you have a hard cutoff time?
No, I do not. I'm good. Yep. Good to go.
I feel like we're good through these next 6 and kind of still see what the vibe is like in the room. Is helping a logging. Which of the following? Well, I think it's coming back to that. Am I overthinking this, or is this just calling for us to build a seam?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Is that what you got too?
Yeah, because I mean, you can't really set log levels to critical if you're not doing anything with the logs.
Right.
The first thing is you collect them and then figure out and then tune it. You know.
Sure.
And right. the NTP and A doesn't even apply. I would say.
All right. Which programming language is commonly associated with scripts that use the .py or .py file extension? Is it Bash, B, Python, C, Java, or D, PowerShell? Can we just pop this one? It's pretty straightforward. You know if it has .py, it's a Python.
Yep.
Which of the following tools are packet capture utilities? Abuse PDB and SPF, B, TCP dump and Wireshark, C, VDI and VPC, or D, NPT or MQTT. Chat's moving. The delay in which people are chatting and I see it is nice and quick today.
Yeah, they're on top of it today.
Yeah, this is pretty straightforward, right? Packet capture utilities. Kind of had this conversation in some of the previous questions. TCP dump and Wireshark. We know that these other ones are not packet capture utilities. Which of the following is an example of a knowledge factor in authentication? A, an authenticator application. B, a fingerprint, C, a password, or D, a smart card. Again, I'm going to fly through this one for the sake of time. Authenticator application could be something you have. So like a token, a fingerprint is a biometric. That's something that you are. A password, on the other hand, is a knowledge factor in authentication because that is something that you know. And then again, a smart card is something that you have. So we'll send that. Slim Daddy says, please do any help would be greatly appreciated. I'm looking to get back to work after a cancer operation 5 years ago. Man, congrats on battling that. It's good to have you upright. I have 3 decades in IT and I'm pivoting to do exciting stuff with cloud and AI. Cool. Well, one of the places you can check out is the Daily Cyber Threat Brief. And let's see if it'll let me link that in chat. Usually I have these all dialed up. Boom, 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 boom. I'm going to send you to Simply Cyber. That's where I'm going to send you first is Simply Cyber. If you haven't been there already, we meet every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time to talk about emerging cyber threats, what's going on in the industry, how to level up, so on and so forth, with a 20-plus year professional in Dr. Jerry Ozier. So you want to make sure you check that out. It'll help you level up.
And Slim Daddy, I would say if you have 3 decades in IT, there's probably a very good chance that you have a lot of experience with Microsoft. So I would say it's kind of it would be a no-brainer to start with Azure. Maybe your AZ900 to get your feet wet. With your experience, you could probably get that done pretty quickly. And then Microsoft has roadmaps. Microsoft Learn is a great free utility to get your feet wet with cloud concepts, and it's no cost, and it's really good training. I use it.
Cool. Thank you, Ricky.
Yep.
Using facial recognition to access an iPhone is an example of which authentication factor? A, AI, B, knowledge, C, biometric, or D, human-based? What is facial recognition, team? What do we think it is, class? Do we think it is a AI? Do you think it's something you know? Is it biometric or is it human-based? I've never heard of human-based as an authentication factor.
That sounds made up.
Right? AI totally. Is also not an authentication factor. Knowledge is, but that's something you know, which leaves me with biometric, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. A nice long question. Taylor, a security analyst at Acme Inc. wants to securely analyze the behavior of a potentially malicious executable. Which technique should Taylor use to run the executable while reducing the risk of compromising sensitive data? A, embed the executable in a Python function. B, run the executable from a bash script. C, run the executable in Joe's sandbox. Or D, call the executable from a PowerShell script. Well, let's look at this, right? We want to run the executable, but we don't want to do it in probably our own environment, right? And so it's pretty straightforward that is the correct answer. Well, if you run it, if the executable is in a Python function, well, that's still going to run on your machine locally and then, compromise. Executable from a bash script, same thing. It's just your method of running the executable hasn't changed. And then you're just calling the PowerShell executable from a Python script. So you're still just opening it on your box. Running the executable in Joe's sandbox is a straightforward answer that will satisfy that. We completed level 1. Those felt like level 1 questions. Some of those questions, I'm like, if this is size a plus. How are we feeling, class? Do you want to keep going with the questions or do you want to call it a day? How are you feeling, Ricky?
I'm good. Good to go.
Let me know in chat how are you feeling. Seeing if our CompTIA stuff isn't yet. It's not. Zara says, let's be done for the day. She was our first student. I can get behind that, Zara. I appreciate you being straightforward and just telling us to whoops. Oh my gosh. It's like my first stream over here. It's like, who are these bozos? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time, for joining us for, I guess it's kind of a soft launch of Slay CISA Plus. I think we might call it Crush CISA Plus. I don't know. At the end of the day, the goal is for Tech Ricky and I to take you, the masses, along with us as we prepare for our CISA Plus exam, help you crush it in the shortest amount of time possible in a live, fun, community-based study atmosphere. Again, we'll have special guests, all kinds of stuff. Next Friday, we'll be back. Maybe 3:30, 3 o'clock. We'll get the time ahead of time. You'll find out about it. Also talk about it when I'm doing the Cyber Career Hotline on Dr. Ozier's Simply Cyber Daily Cyber Threat Brief. Tech Ricky, we hope to hear more from you next week. Where can we find you? Do you have anything for class for parting words?
I mean, I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay.
You tagged me in some posts on there. I was in the middle of answering a question, so I had a.
No, you're fine. That's what happens to.
No, I mean, yeah. Just look forward to seeing everybody next week. We'll get a time ironed out, and maybe we'll have the CompTIA questions at that point, and we can pepper some of those in.
Beautiful. Cool. Yeah. I dropped your LinkedIn in chat. Thanks, Ricky. Thank you, Snack Panic. Thanks, Code Brew Cyber, Zara, Chuck in Cyberspace. The people that are maybe listening or the first timers that dropped in, hope you come back if you're watching this on Team Replay. Scrub ahead to where we're answering the questions. I think that's all I got. Sorry, Zara, I can't do twice a week for 1 hour. To do this properly and do it right requires an incredible amount of time and resources on Ricky and I. We both work full-time, have full-time families, side projects. I have also a side hustle. So this is my way of studying while giving back to the community at the same time. So unfortunately, at least for me, Ricky can jump on. If he wants to go twice a week and do this, he is more than welcome. I'll give him my login information and he can own the channel. But as far as me, I will be able to do this on Fridays only. So, all right, team, from all of us at Slay Size A Plus, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And until next time,